Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Lawyer, Money, and You. This episode, or whatever you want to call it, is going to be so fascinating and so interesting because we've followed Mike Wilbur since he started law school, or maybe,
Unbelievable. Yes, we
yeah,
did.
through all his trials and tribulations. This thing about things come easy, they didn't come easy. But welcome, Mike. Welcome back. Yeah. Oh,
Good to see you all.
yeah, let me introduce Camille. Of course, she doesn't need it.
Go ahead and introduce me.
Oh, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Roberta Saphire, an attorney in Sharon, Massachusetts, USA. And right there is Camille.
Hello, I'm Camille Barron. I'm a financial coordinator and healthcare advisor from Massachusetts, but we serve people all over the country. And our videos from our recordings, Roberta, anybody in the world can see them on YouTube, right?
Yes, in fact, we've had people on the show from Brazil. We're seen in Brazil, I think Australia. Kaylee Queens is also worldwide now too. So wherever she's seen, we're seen. Of course, we got Arizona, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, you name it, we're there. Even in North Carolina, we hit Georgia, we've hit New Jersey, everywhere, countries thing. So anyway, welcome, Mike Wilbur. The last time, I don't even say, I had to let him say a word, but I think the last time he was on, he was he was still taking classes, or he graduated law school. Mike, tell us what happened.
So since the last time, I took the bar exam online, which was a unique and pretty terrible experience, I must say, in and of itself. Since
What
then,
happened? They took it online. Was that for Massachusetts or for all over, or for which states?
for state by state, they kind of decided what to do. And there's a company called the NCBE who kind of administers both the essay questions and the multiple choice questions. At first, they had said there is no chance in burning hell that we will ever give an online bar exam. Like, to figure it out, send your kids to the death row. We don't care, have them go in person. And so the states, some of them like Massachusetts, were intelligent enough to go, okay, well, here's a pile of rocks that you guys can kick. We're going to go online, come with us, or we're just going to make everything ourselves. And so seeing the financial loss there, the NCBE went, whoa, wait. I mean, we'll make a smaller test if you guys really want it. And so we got a 50% version of the normal bar exam.
Wait. For our viewers, tell us about the bar exam. Is it just one exam for all 50 states, or for certain states? Are they all supposed to give the same exam?
Yeah. So for 30, I believe it's 36 states now, they have what's called the uniform bar exam, and that's the one that's made by the NCBE. And so all of those will have the same multiple choice questions and the same essays. And you can transfer your passing score to any of those 36 states that administer it. So for this one, they gave us half the normal multiple choice and half the essays, scale it up to a full one. And any state that had elected to give the remote version, you would have reciprocity with, as long as you passed. So now after that, seeing how that went, they've transitioned to this coming in 2 weeks. They're going to give a full bar exam online. And they just this week announced that in July, they'll give every state and every applicant the opportunity to either take in person or online a full bar exam.
But you passed it, didn't you?
I did. I needed a 270 for Massachusetts, which the highest in the country is 276, and I ended up with a 310. So I'm good to go wherever I need to go.
Wow.
So you're higher than the highest.
Yes, not the highest score, but great.
No.
So I got
fantastic.
sworn in a month ago in Massachusetts. So I'm no more Pinocchio strings. I'm a real lawyer. And my reciprocity is out for, I'm waiting to hear back from Connecticut, New Hampshire, New York, and Texas.
How about Rhode Island?
Rhode Island didn't do a remote version. They we're one of the states that elected to say we think coming in person is what we're going to do, and too bad, so sad. So now I would have to, if I need to practice in Rhode Island, I would either be able to associate with somebody to do some work, or if it were really something to litigate, I could pro hack vice myself in.
Did they give the results of the Rhode Island bar? Do you know like how many people took it? How many people did they say passed? Or what's the story?
I believe there were between, I want to say it was 120, 150 people that took it. And then I don't know what the pass rate was. Most people, I think it was like a 60%, I want to say, pass rate for Rhode Island. But I know people on both ends of the Rhode Island spectrum who passed or didn't pass. So it was still a typical difficult exam. It wasn't a, we're going to give you the frosting.
I wonder how many people got COVID or didn't get COVID, or if it made any difference.
From what I heard, the restrictions were pretty abhorrent for Rhode Island. They were in a gymnasium at Roger Williams that was also inside the gym, and the gym was open to the undergraduates there. So if you were taking the test, you were just, hoping that your mask and 6 feet were enough, because the gym doors were open. If, a freshman at the undergrad wanted to go and lift some weights, he could go in there and do it.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
And
I'm
what
very
was
happy
the-
I didn't do that.
What was the ratio in Massachusetts? Like how many?
We had a couple thousand people take it,
Yeah.
and we were 76%, I believe, pass rate in Mass.
Look at the difference.
Yeah.
They don't want lawyers in Rhode Island.
They really don't, it seems. For a long time, they refused to join the uniform bar exam using the excuse, very similar to what Texas excuse was until this past year, of we have a lot of specialized law, and ours in Rhode Island is marine law, which doesn't really make that much sense, because right north of them is Massachusetts with, that whole Cape Cod there. And you would think that maybe that marine law is a little bit more important than Newport, but they finally gave in. They were seeing no lawyers come to Rhode Island basically because of that. Everybody go, all right, well, I'm going to Massachusetts. Why would I deal with this stuff?
Yeah.
Well, years ago, we were looking to relocate out of Massachusetts. We never did. But one of the states that we were looking for reciprocity, you just go there and you start practicing, was
Right.
Texas. Texas was one of them.
Texas this past year joined the uniform, and their excuse before that was very similar to Rhode Island. We have a lot of specialized law with, oil, gas, and weapons, and they saw a very similar thing. They're like, well, we're only getting Texans as attorneys, and this is not really a diverse population coming through here. We're not getting, different ideas and things like that. Maybe it's time to open up to it and, do something like Massachusetts and New York do, have, a state-specific component. And that's what they did. If you pass, their uniform score, then you can apply to get the reciprocity and be barred there. You just have to take an open book, Texas-based law component part.
So Rhode Island's not going to do that, though? They still want you to?
They're in the uniform now, but because they didn't go online, my test doesn't work with Rhode Island. So I'd have to wait, I believe it's a 3-year period, and petition to be in and say, hey, I'm in good standing in Massachusetts for the last 3 years. Please let me come in. Or if something came up in the interim, I would be able to either associate with my relatives who are attorneys here, or I could pro hack vice if it were something I needed to litigate.
Now, isn't your specialty media and film and things that probably will lead you to California?
Yeah, good question.
Surprisingly enough, that's very funny. I have a lot of background in it. I love doing it. And literally days after I got sworn in, an old coworker from Wahlburgers, my TV show, gave me a call, and he's like, you're all sworn in, right? Yeah. And he's like, great. How do you want to rep a film that I'm doing? It's small budget, everything like that. I need you to look over my agreement and then make some phone calls for me. Yeah, okay. Sure.
Where are they from? Where were they from?
He's based out of Massachusetts, lives in Los Angeles, and is shooting the film in Texas. And then outside of that, I've been doing interviews at corporate firms. I did one yesterday for an in-house tech company in Foxborough who does all the sports teams around town for all their tech. And ironically, one of the questions I've been asked in both interviews is, one of them worded it as, all right, well, tell me, why are you not a flight risk? Because everything that I've seen on your resume and everything I get from talking to you, in 2 years, you're going to tell me that you're quitting to go be a pro surfer in Australia. I'm like, why aren't you in California right now and things like that? I love LA. It's great for film. I did that. Everything I need here. You know, my family's here. I worked in TV from here for almost a decade, pretty much. And you know, as I said, a couple of days after I got sworn in, I was able to get a job representing a film. So LA's, you know, the nice, shiny, sunny place where there's no snow and everything. But I tend to find myself 4 or 5 days visiting people out there, and I'm like, all right, I'm good to get back home. Like my family, it's more what I want to be around.
So you want to stay around this area?
For now, at least. You know, I also tell everybody that I've been in interviews with, you know I'm the fledgling guy. Like I've worked in law for 3 years in a corporate position. You know, it's a great experience for me, but there's a ladder that everybody climbs, and maybe I'm on rung 2 because of that instead of 1. Great. There's still exponential rungs above me, and you know, I'm not going to jump to rung 15. If I move out to California, I'm going to be in the same spot looking for the same jobs. So
More
I'm very
competition,
cognizant of,
probably.
exactly. I'm very cognizant of where I am. I'm very cognizant of what I want to do, and you know, taking out the AAA triptych, my version of getting there, which for now says, you know, take what is available, what you're good at, and work from that.
But
Mhm.
you've gone through more steps up the ladder than probably somebody who's been out 5 to 10 years. Just review
Yeah.
some of the adversities you went through and still come out smiling.
So the biggest one that I still it motivates me literally every single day, especially when I get up and I'm like, you know, maybe I could skip a workout today, or like, you know, maybe I don't need to do this. Is I was going to a conference my first year of law school out in Vegas for entertainment and sports, just to meet a bunch of agents, a bunch of lawyers and everything. And I never made it to Vegas because the plane had to emergency land in Salt Lake for me because I had passed out on the plane. Come to find out I had pneumonia and sepsis. So had to overcome having that. Then going from there to still being in law school, still shooting Wahlburgers straight through my second year of law school, balancing, you know, trying to stay healthy, trying to get my grades up in law school, trying to, you know, just generally be alive. And I kind of dedicated myself more so. I'd done it before, almost full life into, than was Tom Brady Center, TV12. And so, you know, I drink a lot of water every day. I work out, doing all their workouts. You know, I have a great coach there who works on giving me a diet plan. We do this testing thing called a PNOE. You get hooked up to a bunch of monitors and do an intense workout, and that'll tell you, you know, here's what your nutrition needs to be, here's what your diet should be, here's what your workout should be. So it was a matter of, you know, had to overcome a little bit of health things, had to overcome, you know, both keeping a foot in the television world while also trying to finish law school and do it well. And then
How about your
balancing it all.
finances? Like you're not part of I mean, you're part of a wonderful family, but basically you're doing everything on your own.
I am, and actually I lucked out. I probably wouldn't have been able to figure this out had I not had any kind of legal background, which was, and Camille, you would probably, I'm sure, know about this too, was the CARES Act offered a lot for people like me who were, you know, fresh out of school, trying to fund the bar, trying to fund living. And I was lucky enough to 10 years ago when I was at Apple, build up a pretty decent 401k. So for somebody, you know, fresh out of their 20s to even have a 401k was great. And I found from the CARES Act that, you know, I was allowed to remove up to $100,000, no penalty, and even the taxation you could defer for 3 years. At that point, you either, if you haven't paid back the funds that you removed from your 401k, you pay the taxation on them, or if you pay it back, you owe nothing. So essentially the CARES Act gave me a free loan to myself where I could bet on myself of, hey, like I'm going to be an attorney. I'm going to have all these skills and going into a job. Taking out $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 is nothing to pay back in 10 years when you're betting on yourself. And the worst case scenario is you took money that was already yours and you're just going to pay some taxes on it that you would have paid if you got paid it in the beginning.
True, very true.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So I was able to utilize a little bit of my 401k from Apple when things got dire, which, you know, took until almost Thanksgiving time. pull that out. And, between that and then just being smart with saving money, not spending superfluously, just, spending for needs, I've been able to financially survive on my own for all that.
Wow. What a great role model you are.
I just, a big thing that I took from the TB12 stuff, and people always are like, oh, that's a smart idea, why don't I think of it, is think of 12-hour ahead you. Because it's very easy to think about you in the moment of, you know what, I'm hungry, I want a pizza. Like the simplest of ideas. Like, okay, that's great. Have a pizza. Well, what about 12-hour ahead me? Is 12-hour ahead me going to be doing something physically exertion? Is 12-hour ahead me need to think very clearly and need to be, at 100%? If the answer is yes, well, then why am I going to take the chance of inflammation from the tomatoes if I need to be physically active? Why am I not going to eat something with a lot of omega-3s, like have a salmon and, maybe have a little bit more brain activity that I could boost in there? So everything I do is, what's 12-hour me going to be
kidding.
like? Is that going to need this? Is he going to want this? And operating on that kind of a mindset, as opposed to, well, you know what? Here and now I want a pizza, so I'm just going to order some coal-fired pizza and just eat the whole thing. No, 12 hours from now, that could hurt.
Yes, it could. And it's great to think that way. I think we all should think that way.
Yeah.
It's difficult though, because we all do try to live in the moment. Mindfulness is a great thing for that. I just think that my kind of set with mindfulness is now and then, because if you focus only on one, you're not getting the whole scope and picture for yourself or anybody else.
Great. Tell us about Wahlberg. Tell us about, I know you told us about this before, but tell everybody about that.
Oh, that's good.
I randomly had fallen into, I was doing TV production, had just finished up shooting a show about a preacher on the North Shore of Boston. And one of our camera guys was like, hey, do you have anything booked for next week? I'm like, no,
but you were in, wait, I just wanted to know, you were in a local cable. That was a local cable show, just like we're being taped now. It was just like one of those cable shows that you
little bit larger. Verizon was our funding for that. They had tried to get a platform off the ground at the time, called, I believe it was Red or something like that. Yeah. Verizon.
Basically the same idea, but go ahead.
Right. And it's like, no, I don't have anything booked for next week. He's like, great, you should come down to Hingham. And like, we need somebody. You'd be great for it. Showed up, that next Monday, met everybody, great people. And they're like, all right, so we're going to Alma's house, and then we're going to meet Donnie there, and we're going to shoot. And I was like, who the hell is Alma? Who's Donnie? Like Donnie Wahlberg, the Wahlbergs. Oh, like that's the job. Oh, okay, great. And so then for 4 years after that, I was following around the Wahlbergs, shooting TV shows. Then it wasn't just the TV thing. Come to find out, because we aired our last episode July 2019. And when I was at the wrap party, I was just starting to head out. I went up to Paul Wahlberg and was saying like, hey, thanks. Like, this was great. It's always good to see you. He was like, hey, wait, I kept on seeing you reading like these law books and everything. Like, are you either just a nerd or like, what's going on here? I'm like, oh, well, Ben in law school, I'm finishing up next year. It's like, dude, you got to communicate these things to me here. Alan's the best lawyer I've ever seen in my life. He's our EVP, he's our general counsel. You and Alan need to talk. And so, we had connected, started to figure out, like, me and Alan, about going to dinner, and then COVID hit. I was like, oh, great, so this never happened. Lo and behold, last week, we hopped on a phone call for 2 hours, I think it was, just talking back and forth. Great guy, mentored. And since then, I talk to him almost every day, every other day. I was like, hey, I'm looking at this job. Hey, I'm looking at that job. He'll send me something like, hey, how's it going? So, even just from shooting a TV show, I now have this great network.
Who is this fellow? Is he a lawyer?
He is. His name's Alan McKenna. He used to be a private practice attorney. He had his own firm in Hingham. He's won, I think, 4 or 5 times best 40 under 40 attorney in New England. And he, in 2019, about the same time that the show went off the air, he joined full-time in-house as Wahlberger's general counsel. And now he's both general counsel and their executive vice president.
Oh, what a nice mentor.
But, great, fantastic guy.
But you're great. You're great. What I wanted to point out is you went on a job which other people didn't want to go because it was too far for them. And you were willing to go far.
Absolutely.
Because you were in Rhode Island at the time, too. And you're talking hours of traveling, but yet yet he didn't mind doing it. But
That would be my normal commute. Would be I'd go to class in the morning in Bristol. I'd drive up to Hingham right after class for like, noon, 1 o'clock. I'd shoot a TV show, and then after we were done shooting, I'd head on down to North Kingston, Rhode Island, and go to
Yeah.
my internship in house, and then go
Yeah,
home and repeat the whole thing.
in Italian, we call that a schlep. But tell our viewers now, so what are you doing now? And then we want to talk about what's going on with the
Yeah.
businesses coming back, especially because you're interested in businesses. And we were talking about how they're not letting the venues do it. They're worried about parties, but they're not letting venues which are licensed there. But before we get to that, talk
Yeah.
about where you've been interviewing and what you have now.
Yeah. So I gave a little bit of, I got asked to represent a friend's film. It's only between $50,000-$100,000, but still a film. So I drafted a couple of his agreements and things for that, and generally stay on call for anything like, hey, we want to shoot at this restaurant. What do we got to do? Can you give them a call, kind of things. On top of that, I'm trying to set up a couple of trusts for people, because first off, I think everybody in the world should have a trust. It's the most protective thing if you want to hand down any kind of assets, property, or have, control in your lifetime, or dead hand control. So I've been kind of walking people through what they need to do for that, why it's important, getting all the steps that are up. And then as well as while I'm interviewing for things, I've been polishing off a journal piece that I wrote in law school about Mickey Mouse's copyright expiring next year, and what's Disney going to do to protect this? Because the evil empire of Disney's not just going to let Mickey go off into the sunset and let that IP just be freely used. And so
What is it,
with
40
its so close
years?
proximity.
Is it 40 years? How many years is it good for?
You get the lifetime of the creator if you're plus I want to say now it is 50 years if you're an individual, and if it's a corporation, 30 years. So Mickey was extended in around 2000 when they passed the last copyright laws, which was heavily funded and lobbied for by no other than Disney. And so they're kind of in a pickle now, because they spent so much money 20 years ago trying to extend this. And now they can't really lobby for it again. No less, the most recent stimulus bill changed a lot of copyright law as one of the things that got slid in under the radar there that a lot of people didn't really notice. So there's a lot of flux going on with copyrights right now.
Good or
especially
bad?
Mickey.
Good or bad?
Depends what side you're on. I would say on the corporate belief side that it's really bad. It creates different kind of tribunals to argue on copyrights. It makes things a little bit harder to get or to license them. And it's not as much of that freedom of artistic and protection kind of thing, which copyright was made to be. Now it's getting much more bureaucratic. It's becoming, well, a copyright is going to be a certificate kind of thing. So that's not why we created this.
Doesn't seem fair in a way. I mean,
it's all money when it comes down to that. Copyrights are very, and IP generally is very, very, very valuable.
I mean, it's
even
like
people
a
that
child,
practice
isn't it? Wouldn't
it
you
is.
think it's like a child, and then all of a sudden, so 50 years go by, it's not your child anymore, it's somebody else.
Especially, so Gatsby actually just went into the public domain. So imagine the Fitzgerald family and how they must feel of, this is one of the biggest pieces of literature of all time written. People revere this, and now anybody can use it and they're appropriate however they want. So if I'm the Fitzgerald family, I'm pulling my hair out every single day.
I'm not familiar. Wasn't there a movie, The Great Gatsby? That was
multiple, yeah.
Yeah.
There's one with Redford in the late 70s, and then there's one with Leo DiCaprio about I want to say it was about 10 years ago.
Oh, that's funny. So you're working. You're working now.
I'm doing my own work while I look for something more salaried. There's a lot of contract things out there, but if you know your skill set and you know what you're good at, holding your feet to the ground is a little bit better, I think, and that's what I've been doing.
It's kind of funny. Maybe you could still do Rhode Island, mix it around.
Corporate wise, I can. Most corporate positions, as long as you're barred somewhere that the entity operates, you're good to go. And some states have just an application to work in-house. So like if I wanted to work in California in the film industry, it'd be very easy for me, considering most films are set up as, well, we are film name LLC, and then everything falls down from that. I would then apply in California to be in-house counsel for film name LLC, and then I would be able to operate there for that.
What I've seen in some law stationery is with the person's name under it, it will say licensed in such and such a place, but not in Massachusetts. It's a license, but they're showing that they're a licensed attorney.
Right.
That's interesting. Why don't we, GCC, this is why I wanted to talk to him and get him on the show. I'm looking at the thing, because we were before he lined up for today, we were talking and I'm going, hold it for the show, because then we might forget to ask about it. But just the last thing, you were interested in what's going on in Massachusetts and the way it looks like it's opening up. The vaccine is out, and they still haven't let venues. This is like a year now almost that they're closed, putting people out of business. I don't get it.
It doesn't make much sense to me, especially the way that they treat restaurants and the surrounding states of Massachusetts treat sporting events. You know, it doesn't make much sense to say, well, don't worry, we're at 25% capacity of a sporting stadium. And then you look at the numbers and you're saying, well, wait, 25% capacity is 15,000 people. So you're letting 15,000 people into a space, no less of, oh, well, you know, we'll open up restaurants with spacing or outdoors. And then your outdoors is either a shelter that you've built or a balloon cube. It's like, so what you're saying is that you can gather in these places, but you can't gather in other places that are doing the same thing. It kind of is it seems like a cognitive dissonance or just a general misunderstanding of how an event space works when you're allowing a sporting event, allowing outside dining.
Well, even for weddings, they're calling them like our family has function facility, and they're competing with these people. Say, well, if I can't go to a regular facility where it's already licensed, which is what they're worried about. I mean, they're licensed facilities. They keep all the health rules. They call them COVID weddings in somebody's backyard.
Yeah. And then it's, you know, well, it's a private gathering. So, well, we have restrictions on private gatherings too, but are we just not enforcing these? Because we don't have a scope on them, because there's no licensure or something like that. And it makes it even harder at that point, because it's like, well, okay, we get it. You know, you want to have your wedding, you want to have your event. Why is it that you can have a tent outside at a restaurant and serve these people, but the event space can't do the same? Where the event space knows how to do these things. The event space does outdoor serving all the time. They're the professionals at it. Yet we now are letting restaurants do this who have never done this before. And, you know, they're kind of making it up as they go along. And we're totally fine with it. It really makes no sense. Or even the office setting. We're allowing people to come back into the office, you know, set up an HVAC in each room, you know, segregate from this, segregate from that. That's great. I would love to go into the office too. I love the structure of it all. But
even in
really,
New York, I don't understand. I mean, we're non-political, but how a governor closing up businesses and everything gets an Emmy award. I mean, that had to be a joke. He got an Emmy. I don't get it. We don't also. We have like 30 seconds left, 3 minutes left. Where they're sending us things that we hardly have any time left. So I'm gonna stop talking. Camille,
are we done?
We're just about done. It looks like we're just about done, but I don't know how, because it doesn't seem like we've talked that long. And I mean,
that's because this gentleman is so entertaining and informative. It goes by so fast.
I know.
I just live my life, and I try to do it the best I can.
Well, we just admire you so much, really.
I admire you guys. It's reciprocal. It's a mirror relationship.
Well, why don't we wait until he notifies us again? Hey, Ryan, how many seconds do we have left? But you know, it's just so great to see you. You know, we met Michael at my son's wedding, who married, would you say that's your first
Oh, my
cousin?
cousin. Yeah,
Your first cousin? So we're
absolutely.
connected that way. And I keep telling them how wonderful he is, but we went over, we're over now, so you better really wind up.
All right, so we're going to wind up. Thank you very much, very, very much. It's so great to see you and to hear
Same,
about all
same.
the great things that are happening. And to our viewers, please remember, if you have any questions or you have any suggestions on future topics, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Because remember, this is your show, the law, your money, and you.
And you. Thank you, Michael.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody. Bye now.